Coming up on Tech News Today, Skype wants to put ads in your calls. And does Congress want to kill Wi-Fi? Plus, Google shuts down Sesame Street. And it's our last Tech News Today from the old TWiT cottage. Coming up next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today, except no substitutes. For Thursday, July 21st, 2011, Tech News Today is brought to you by Netflix. Watch thousands of TV episodes and movies on your PC, Mac, iPad, iPhone, or TV instantly, all streamed directly to you, saving you time, money, and hassle. For your free 30-day trial, go to netflix.com/twit. Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Sarah Lane.
I'm Iyaz Akhtar.
And I'm Jason Howell in the cottage.
Our final broadcast from the cottage of Tech News Today.
we plan
of
to
the
do.
TWiT cottage.
Deep breaths, everyone.
You will notice,
Exhale.
a lot of people are like, video-wise, it'll look different because we'll be in the new studio and the new set and all of that. But audio-wise, it will be different as well.
It will?
Yeah. We'll be painting different word pictures for people in the new studio. No?
I didn't know we'd be painting
You'll-
at all,
you'll
but I am
notice.
really excited about
Yeah.
my new job.
This will be armless.
My new painting job sounds great.
Yeah, we're all becoming painters. Well, the reason this is our last one in the cottage is tomorrow's show is live from San Diego with
That's right.
Sarah and I,
And you're not taking the cottage with you.
and we aren't. No,
Okay.
we
It's-
did not get clearance
You can only
to bring the cottage
take one
with us.
carry-on.
Yeah, it was
You didn't try the
personal
balloon
item.
method?
We thought about it.
Okay.
Carry item.
I thought this
has
was going to be like
fit
a
in
whole
bin.
Yeah.
an up situation where you just float it all with balloons and the cottage
Yeah.
then floats
Should
over.
have thought of that. The trade winds weren't agreeing with us, though.
Okay.
So there's.
All right, so that's
it's
why
very
this is the last one
complicated.
here.
But we're going to have a meetup, too, so that'll be a lot of fun.
Got more
Talk a
details on
little
the meetup coming up in the calendar. Let's start off with a story that Jay Hakai tipped me off to in the chat room during iPad Today. Skype CEO, I can't remember his name, Tony Bates, speaking at the Fortune Brainstorm Tech Conference in Aspen, Colorado, started discussing ways to monetize Skype after the Microsoft acquisition. Makes perfect sense, right? They want to make some more money off this thing. Said, obviously there's a very rich long-term advertising play. The one I want to tease right now is in-call advertising. The average length of a video call is going up. It's about 27 minutes now. I hope he's not counting our shows. That might drive up the...
Yeah, actually, we do,
yeah,
we do
no
have long
kidding.
shows.
He says, the average video call is going up. It's about 27 minutes right now, and you're doing a lot of things in that time. If we're talking, you're not just looking at me, so we have a lot of opportunities there.
This sounds like this is going to have some immediate backlash. I mean, when you're trying to talk to somebody face-to-face, if you've actually set up a Skype call, you might just want to talk to them and not necessarily see an ad pop in at the bottom or something.
Or not ever see an ad,
Well,
in
see,
my
I-
case.
During a call.
That would never. I mean, I've gotten very used to just finding that little X.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in YouTube videos, it's like they're easy to get rid of. But to have a video call where you're specifically wanting to look at somebody because you don't just want to audio call them, to have an ad pop up is just about as intrusive as it gets. It also doesn't surprise me. This is just a matter of time, right?
Totally. And it actually, isn't it perfect timing that on Monday we're in the new studio and we're not using Skype anymore?
Well, it's still a
right?
backup, but
It's a
yeah,
backup,
we're
but I
switching
mean,
over
that
to
would
using video
completely
for our
put the
main
shut
thing.
off to Skype.
Their average call time is going to go down. Obviously, there's a very rich long-term advertising play, Bates said. And then he was asked if that might involve ordering a pizza. Bates responded, why not? Why not? Because we have this intimate relationship. At the end of the call, I share an ad with you. Watch this space. We think it's going to be very exciting. So he says at the end of a call. That might not be so bad. If, when I ring off, then I get an ad, that just pops up. It's like, hey, that was a long call. Thirsty? Want to order pizza delivery with a liter of Coke for free?
Now,
Yeah, I
Skype-
guess they couldn't put a pre-roll ad because if you really had to call somebody at that moment, can you imagine them being like,
Well, gosh,
29
that'd be
seconds till you can
horrible.
connect to your mom in the hospital. 27 seconds.
But Skype has a lot of premium services, so it'd be interesting if they actually subsidize some of those things, like group video calling or even Skype out with an ad. Like, then I don't know if people would be so against
Oh,
this
yeah.
idea.
Don't you dare put an ad in my Skype in, Skype out
Right,
that
if you're
I'm paying
for.
for.
That's what I mean. If they're talking about new revenue streams, the question is: are they trying to get more users and increase their user base by having subsidized plans, or are we really going to get stuck with ads during our videos?
How's this going to play into the whole Skype Facebook thing too? Will the ads
Well,
on Skype also be on Facebook?
Probably not, but then they could allow Facebook to utilize that technology. And then Facebook could put ads into your video calls. That's interesting.
And it'll
Make
be
a
an ad with your
lot of
friend's
money
picture
there.
on it
Yeah.
already.
And honestly, people are probably be more tolerant of that in a Facebook situation because it seems less formal than if I'm using Skype to do a business conference and all of a sudden, Little Caesars pizza ad pops up in the middle of, my serious teleconference.
So Little Caesars is quite serious.
Pizza.
It's double serious. Also today, Google went on a tear, removing the plus pages of lots of high-profile businesses. Google has a policy that says you have to use your real name if you're going to have a Google Plus profile. So Mashable, Ford, Sesame Street, among those who suddenly started returning a 404 error. Search Engine Land reported that Google Plus was just going through and sending notes. They sent a note to Mashable saying, or to Search Engine Land saying, your profile has been suspended. It was one of those templatized notes, so it didn't say for sure why, but it did mention the names policy, and that's most likely the reason. Now, there is an update that they just added to this story on Search Engine Land that Mashable and Ford accounts have been restored, although Sesame Street was still returning a 404 message. Mashable founder Pete Cashmore posted that he's been talking to Google today, and he will use the Mashable account personally while Mashable waits for Google to formally launch business profiles. But his name isn't Mashable, and if it's a real names policy, how do they justify that?
Yeah, I mean, I know that he uses Mashable as his personal account on Twitter.
On Twitter, right.
But it's also representing the business, Mashable. And does he? I mean, I assume he also doesn't have a Google profile named Pete Cashmore, because then that's not really fair. But this is a really gray area. I mean, I guess because they have so many not followers, but people who have added the account Mashable into circles, it behooves Google Plus to try to work with them while they try to get Google Apps accounts up and running, or business accounts up and running and functional. But it opens the door for everyone else to be like, well, I'm going to use my business account primarily, and this will be, my voice, so I should be able to have the same rights as him.
He does say in his post that the account going forward will have his name and picture. So they may be changing the name of the Mashable News account to be Pete Cashmore.
He just wants to keep all the people who are already
and why not?
The account,
they have a great conversation going on. They have a lot of people paying attention. So I think what he did was he persuaded Google to let him change the name to a real person.
That's cold-hearted, though. Sesame Street's still down. I mean, Ford's back and Mashable's up, but
now,
Sesame Street...
I was under the impression, and maybe it was mistaken, that Ford had been a test case, that they were the first people officially allowed.
I thought that too.
It may have been a mistake that they were taken down.
Maybe
I don't know.
It's just Henry Ford.
Google has invited businesses to apply to be part of a test program. They accepted applications through last Friday. TWiT has applied to be part of that test program, and Google said they'll select a diverse set of business partners for the test period and notify them this week. This week's running out, so I don't know if it'd be this week or next week. But you will see businesses. Breaking news got taken down. I actually, that was one of the few business profiles on Google Plus I was following, because I love breaking news service on Twitter.
Yeah, I do too.
And they basically sent a note saying, hey, you're going to have to follow all these different reporters from NBC, which owns breaking news, because we don't.
Well, this is probably a verification kind of thing. I mean, Google, there was a story where Google was going to verify celebrities. Maybe they just want to make sure that if somebody's saying that they're Mashable, at least they're talking to Pete Cashmore, or if they're talking to somebody at Ford, they want to make sure they have the right person associated with it instead of some random squatter taking over that profile.
Yeah.
Sure.
I reported Edward Norton yesterday. Fake profile.
You sure it's fake?
I was pretty sure. Yeah, I could tell by the description that it wasn't Edward Norton, the actor, but it was Edward Norton, the actor's picture. So do your part. Help out. Report profiles that look shady.
All right. Flash just crashed in Chrome for me, so give me a second to tell you about the anonymous hack. Was it anonymous trying to stop me from talking about this?
That's just Adobe.
Probably not. Anonymous released a 36-page NATO budget and equipment outlay document dated August 27th, 2007. They said, we are sitting on about 1 gigabyte of data from NATO now, most of which we cannot publish as it would be irresponsible. But, oh, NATO. So they're taking NATO to task for allowing them to get this through a simple injection attack. But they're being somewhat circumspect, somewhat cautious in releasing the material. They, for a group known for wanting to cause chaos, or being accused of wanting to cause chaos, this is not very chaotic. And then Anonymous posted, we think actually, we may not release emails from the Sun simply because it may compromise the court case. Now, again, being very cautious, those emails were credited to Lulzsec, but we know Lulzsec and Anonymous share a lot of people between them. And then Lulzsec said, we're currently working with certain media outlets who have been granted exclusive access to some of the News of the World emails we have. So again, this kind of trend of cautiousness has suddenly appeared to say, you know what, we're gonna do like WikiLeaks. We're gonna work with newspapers to leak some information out. We're not gonna release some of the NATO stuff because we think it might be damaging.
Actually, WikiLeaks did they released a lot of information that got a lot of innocent people in trouble. They didn't redact any information. So maybe Anonymous or whoever's representing Anonymous in this case learn from that as a lesson.
But WikiLeaks also pioneered actually taking information and giving it to the newspapers first to allow them to go through it.
I'm just kind of just the maturization or being a mature for Anonymous seems a little bit strange, or Lulzsec even, to take into account the effect on a court case. Surprised, I'm pleasantly surprised actually.
Well, it remains to be seen who they're working with in the media, and if they're indeed working with particular media outlets, we'll know sooner than later. But otherwise, a lot of this sounds like, you know, maybe they didn't have emails from the Sun. So they just said, we're not going to release them because we don't want to compromise a court case. Like, who's to say they don't have that information in the first place?
But if they are going to release them to a newspaper, I guess we'll find out.
Exactly.
Right?
I mean, if they do, then my theory is wrong. But it's like, it sounds like the sort of thing you could say and hope that people move on to something else because you didn't really have anything juicy to begin with.
Another theory could be that they are cowed by this arrest of 16 people and are starting to be more careful. However, Anonymous and Lulzsec posted a joint statement on Pastebin directed at the FBI. It was pretty long, but it targeted specifically Stephen Shabinsky. He's the Deputy Assistant Director in charge of FBI's Cyber Division, saying, your threats to arrest us are meaningless to us, as you cannot arrest an idea. Any attempt to do so will make your citizens more angry. Should be angrier, but until they will roar in one gigantic choir.
Ooh, a roaring choir.
I thought they were a hydra, though. Like, there's heads that get cut off.
They're a choir of hydras whose tentacles are all made of lions.
But this is also Lulzsec, so there's like monocles on this monster?
Well, Lulzsec is it's a joint, so maybe there are monocles on some of the lions.
Okay, and some
who
top
wear
hats.
top hats.
And there's a Nyan cat somewhere.
And Nyan cat's just doing its thing.
Okay.
You know,
flying through space.
believe in a rainbow.
Okay.
But again, this is, you know, strong words. We're not afraid of you. You can't take down a concept. We represent so much more than a bunch of people getting arrested. But people are getting arrested.
People are getting arrested, but they're right. They're an amorphous group with no defined boundaries. You can't, and they do represent an idea. And it's easy to dismiss this. It's easy to say, this is just a bunch of mindless, chaotic anarchists. But they aren't. They've shown that. They actually represent a point of view, and they're pushing that point of view. And if you read any of their statements, they're saying, you know, you accuse us of this. What about your corporate abuses? What about these things that happen with News Corp and the hacking of voicemails? You know, you're just defining things the way you want them to be defined.
They have a lot of momentum right now. I would like to see how long that momentum keeps up. Maybe forever. My guess is not. But again, hard to say. It is an anonymous group of people, and we don't know how many people are involved.
The discussion about Anonymous and Lulzsec more and more reminds me of the discussion of the hippies and the yippies. These kids, they're just nihilists, and they're just they just want to destroy society. They don't understand what's good. And what happened is those movements matured over time. Matured not just because, you know, I'm not saying they were immature, but they turned into serious change and were channeled into to public good as they metamorphosized, as they grew, and people refined the ideas. A lot of things grew out of them, and they were also not defined organizations. So I don't know. This is worth paying attention to, in my opinion. I think this is going to just get more and more interesting as it goes along.
Agreed.
Let's take a quick break and thank Netflix. Thank you, Netflix. You can get 30 days free Netflix, netflix.com/twit. So just remember that. 30 days free streaming TV shows and movies, netflix.com/twit. I mean, really.
Simple as that.
What else is there to say?
Tell a friend.
Tell a friend. Tell a friend to tell a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Play telephone.
Call
See
your
how
friend
weird netflix.com/twit will get
before the ads come, and then
and then
You tell them
right.
then. Netflix.com/twit.
Yeah.
Microsoft announced their it's earnings day. It's our earnings week. Microsoft announced their earnings beat the street. Q4 profits rose 35%, up from 51 cents a share a year ago to 69 cents. Q4 revenue rose 8%, beaten expectations, $17.4 billion of revenue. They expected 17.23. It was also the end of their fiscal year. A lot of companies do that where they end their year in the middle of the real year. For fiscal 2011, Microsoft earned $23.15 billion. That's up 12% from fiscal year 2010. So a good year for Microsoft. And here's why. Entertainment and Devices division saw a 30% revenue jump in the quarter, 45% growth year over year. And that is because of Xbox and the Kinect. Bing and online services also 17% revenue growth quarter over quarter. So they're making money off search, and they're making money off of Xboxes. Windows-related revenue was actually down 2% year over year. So Windows is just flat. It's not hurting them, but it's not doing anything for them either.
The other thing is some people may be waiting for Windows 8 already because there's been a lot of previews. That's been shown off a lot. Microsoft's been talking about new form factors. There's going to be a tablet version of this. There's going to be stuff running on ARM chips. So, I mean, for Windows sales to be flat for now kind of makes sense. But it's all Xbox, like all the time with these guys, it seems like. And by the way, this good news doesn't do anything for their stock because the after-hours trading, the stock is down 0.42%.
Yeah, most of the stuff I read was really down on this. Even though they made more money and they beat the street, they are down because of the Windows numbers. They say, ooh, that's bad. If Windows is slipping, that's bad for Microsoft. And that's true. Windows makes up a huge chunk of Microsoft's stability. But isn't it good news that they're actually diversifying and getting success and making money based on other departments?
I mean, you'd think that. I mean, there's the investor mindset versus what's actually going on. That Microsoft is pretty strong. I mean, they are making ground in the search engine field, which people, when they first came out with Bing, everyone was like, forget it. There's no way you're going to take away any market share. And they have a deal with Yahoo, so they power Yahoo's search. So, I mean, they've really moved. They've been a little bit more nimble than I think people give them credit for. I mean, everyone was calling for Steve Ballmer's head, like, what, a couple months ago? Saying, oh, you're not doing anything. This company's going nowhere. And they're doing fine.
Don't forget Windows 7's been out for a couple of years, too. And Windows sales always are spiking at the beginning, and then, you know, they trail off over time till a new version comes out. That's just the pattern. Nokia is relying on Microsoft to save them. They had their earnings today, and as we expected, they were a loss, big loss, 368 million euros. That's $523 million for Q2, compared with last year when they had a profit of 227 million euros. Stephen Elop, Nokia's CEO, did indicate that they're going to have a Windows Phone by the end of the year. He said, step by step, beginning this year, we plan to have a sequence of concentrated product launches in specific countries, systematically increasing the number of countries and launch partners. So this is my next called up Ray Haddow, Nokia spokesman, and said, what does that mean? And he's like, Windows Phone by the end of 2011. That's what that means.
So, yeah, it's a lot of bad news. I mean, the analysts thought that the situation would be better than it actually ended up being. And even Stephen Elop said, listen, things did not go as smoothly as we would have hoped.
So with Nokia banking on Windows Phone 7 basically be their future, do you think that's actually going to make a difference with them? Have they been losing for far too long, or is this the right move? They completely shifted away from their old operating system. They said, this is our phone strategy from now on. Are they going to reverse this trend, or is this what we're going to see for next?
I think that they would have a better chance if Windows Phone 7 was just smashing records in the U.S. I mean, people like Windows Phone 7. There just aren't a lot of people buying it. Now, with having Nokia on board and having so many different phones to choose from, and it being in an international market, I'm sure that's all going to account for many more Windows Phones being bought and used. But I just don't know if it's going to save Nokia.
I think everything is the right thing. I think Elop's doing the only thing he can in so far as he needs to switch to a platform that's going to succeed. Whether Windows Phone is the right platform, looks like iOS. If you could switch to iOS, that would work.
Is it too late, Nokia?
Apple shipped more iPhones during the second quarter than all of the different varieties of smartphones that Nokia shipped in the quarter. Apple shipped 20.3 million iPhones compared to 16.7 million smartphones from Nokia. Now, Nokia did report a patent-related licensing revenue of 430 million euros, that's $616 million, from various sources, although last quarter they didn't report any patent-related licensing revenue. And this past quarter, they received a one-time licensing fee from Apple. that we don't know the number of. But if suddenly they went from 0 to 430 million euros, they may have got 430 million euros from Apple. And there's also a different ongoing licensing relationship, so they may be making money off the iPhone going forward.
Although, was that just a one-time payment?
There was a one-time payment of 430 million.
With...
They're not going to get 430 million every quarter, but they are going to get something.
Yeah.
Well, this ought to be interesting. I mean, we've seen patents become revenue streams for so many other companies. Microsoft's making money off HTCs who's selling Android devices. If Nokia starts making money when Apple sells iOS phones, they will be okay for a little bit. But, I mean, you can't hang your hat on getting patent revenues, okay? You need to make sure you have a real product.
Microsoft
and Nokia
is doing
well, they have the Xbox, right? Oh, they are doing really well with it. You're right. But they're also strong everywhere else. Nokia can't simply rely on this. They need to make those phones. They need to make sure they get in the hands of people.
Well, it's got to be a magic combination where Windows Phone 7 Mango and on Nokia phone platform suddenly just blow people away, and that is definitely possible. Mango looks amazing. Nokia makes beautiful phones. It's always had good operating systems, at least on its feature phones, and they're still selling lots of feature phones. So Nokia is certainly not dead yet. They have a more than fighting chance, but it's going to be a long struggle because they're only going to have one Windows Phone by the end of this year. So it's not going to be till the end of 2012 that we even know if this is going to work or not. Finally, AT&T reported a surprisingly good picture. Revenue of $31.5 billion, up 2.2% over last year. AT&T added 5.6 million smartphones, a record 545,000 branded computing subscribers. That's tablets, tethering plans, mobile Wi-Fi routers like MiFis, stuff like that, data-only devices. They added 3.6 million iPhones. 24% of those subscribers were new to AT&T, so they didn't suffer too much from Verizon getting the iPhone. And they added 331,000 net subscribers in the quarter, compared with an expectation of 91,000. So they did good.
Really good.
Problem is, profit went down. $3.6 billion of profit, 60 cents a share, compared to a year earlier, $4 billion. So it didn't go down a lot. But they said they're spending a lot of money rolling out that LTE.
Yeah, in their statement, they said operating expenses were up by more than $600 million, and the difference between the profits were $400 million. So that's obviously part of that from a year earlier due to increased operational and support costs in the mobile division, which you should really read to mean HSPA Plus and LTE implementation, because they are still way behind on Verizon when it comes to actually having the towers out there to handle 4G.
Well, remember, that was AT&T's excuse to Netflix, saying, listen, it's just we've had to invest so much money in infrastructure and building out our network. So they're investing it somewhere.
Only $600 million, though, in a quarter. I mean, they're spending $39 billion for T-Mobile. So
yeah.
Before we get to News Fuse, the hottest story on our subreddit at technewstoday.reddit.com is a posting from Boing Boing about a proposed bill in Congress here in the U.S. to change the way spectrum is allocated. Public Knowledge posted a call to action alerting people to draft legislation forbidding the FCC from allocating any more unlicensed spectrum for Wi-Fi and other uses unless they give wireless companies the opportunity to buy exclusive licenses first. So the idea would be, right now we have unlicensed spectrum for Wi-Fi. We have unlicensed spectrum for lots of things, for CB radio, for Wi-Fi, for baby monitors, and we want to have more unlicensed spectrum for super Wi-Fi, which is the white space spectrum that lives between the TV channels. If this became law eventually, it would mean that every spectrum that would be allocated to that kind of scenario, that opens up spectrum for lots of people to play in and innovate and make devices, would be offered to the 3 telcos, assuming T-Mobile does go to AT&T, to purchase for exclusive use.
Well, they would have the right of first refusal. They could say, no, we don't want it, and then it would go to it'd be unlicensed. The odds of that happening, though, seems a little silly.
With spectrum as rare as it is right now, there's very little chance they'd ever want to pass up on any kind of spectrum they'd be offered.
Yeah, so I mean, the story was on Reddit. We saw a lot of people write about it. We've seen it on a lot of different blogs. I want to say a couple things. One, this isn't a law yet, so you can go out there and talk to contact Congress. If you don't want this to happen, talk to them about it. But don't freak out just yet. Freak out via messages, but don't freak out on blog posts, because a lot of people are making this to be as if it's actually real right now, and there's a law. There's no law yet. Just you can stop this from happening.
In fact, Public Knowledge is asking citizens to call their member of Congress on Friday, July 22nd. That's tomorrow. They want to have a big wave. So, as I always say with these things, if you support this legislation or you oppose it, you should speak out. This is an important thing to make your mind known about. Whether you think the government should interfere with the regulation, with itself, essentially, whether the Congress should be telling FCC, what it can and cannot allocate spectrum, if that's a good thing, or if it should be allowed to reserve some spectrum for certain kinds
Well, the
of
thing is,
uses.
the wireless telcos could also go for the licensed spectrum, which is something that we are never allowed to use when we're in the private sector. So why do they get all the access to all the spectrum?
Yeah, it would essentially say all spectrum could be up for bidding first, and we would never have any unlicensed spectrum. Time now for the news fuse. Google's Larry Page has been saying Google wants to focus more on making fewer products great. And the axe continues to swing at those not great products. After killing Google Labs yesterday, today Google announced it would no longer support the Google toolbar for Firefox 5 or higher, saying that a lot of the features the toolbar once provided are already built into the browser. I say yay for one less stupid toolbar. I never liked toolbars.
No, me either.
Is Buzz still around? Yeah, that's still around. There's a clock on that one then.
According to CNET, Sprint may potentially roll out data plans that cover more than one device at a time. Now, they're not the only ones talking about this. AT&T and Verizon have also made comments that hint at the same sort of family plan idea. But imagine a world where you just have one data charge for all your devices, tablets, smartphones, laptops, living in harmony. Let's just hope you don't end up paying through the nose
Like a John Lennon
for a
song.
fan like that.
Imagine.
Yeah.
We know Harry Potter ebooks can be found on Pottermore, but what about your favorite ebook stores? Yesterday, Google announced that you could get the Potter series pushed into its Google ebook system, and according to TechCrunch, Amazon told it that Amazon will also have ebooks available. The books will be sold through Rowling's Pottermore site. Hey, Barnes & Noble, do you have any announcements that you want to leak? You might need them.
You're a wizard, Harry. Google just purchased a site called Fridge that allows its users to put things in a cold...
More beer.
Allows its users to share messages, pictures, and plan events with groups. Aha, groups. I get it. The Fridge service will be shut down, but its technology is going to live on in Google+. And groups have always been planned for Google+. A lot of people say it's the one thing Facebook has they wish Google+ would implement. So, if you miss communications with organized groups since you switched over to Google+, hang tight. The Fridge is coming.
And he doesn't play for the Bears.
Not anymore.
Over in India, the
Plays for
Department of
Google.
Telecom has banned a number of file-sharing sites, including MediaFire, Mega Upload, and RapidShare. According to TechTree.com, these sites were blocked by a movie studio whose upcoming movies were being pirated. Reliance Big Pictures used a cease and desist order to get ISPs to stop the piracy. Indian ISPs responded by banning a whole bunch of file-sharing websites.
Aaron Swartz is currently facing charges that he stole documents from online journal archive JSTOR. In protest of the indictment, self-professed technologist Gregory Maxwell has posted a 32-gigabyte file which contains over 18,000 articles from JSTOR. Maxwell argues that since the files are all from works that predate 1923, those works should be in the public domain. Now, whether Maxwell has a whole legal argument, that's a whole other issue.
Google, you just lost a patent bidding war with a consortium of your enemies. What are you going to do now?
I'm going to Patent World.
That's exactly what Reuters is saying. Google's in talks with InterDigital to procure a bevy of patents. Google is exploring options whether to buy the entire company or just its patents. InterDigital's market value is about $3 billion. So that's, Google's got some cash. They could do that.
These days, if you're going to be in the tech business, you got to realize that cloud services, not plastic, but cloud services are what's important. Acer is purchasing cloud computing from IGware for $320 million. The purchase gives Acer the chance to roll out some kind of cloud service with its products. One of IGware's high-profile clients is Nintendo, and apparently Acer is also in talks with Nintendo for some kind of deal post-purchase.
I got 2 words for you, kid. Cloud services.
Cloud to the future, kid.
Let's move to the randomizer then, shall we?
Randomizer.
Thank you. According to Kotaku, Microsoft unveiled at Comic-Con today a fanboy fantasy. The Star Wars Xbox 360. Yes, it's an Xbox 360 shaped like the droid you're looking for.
Well, It's colored like that. It's an R2D2 style.
You're right. It's not really shaped at all, is it?
It's one of those slim Xbox 360 form factors with some really nice blue and white paint decals.
It doesn't look like R2D2.
Well, the thing is, the controllers have a gold sheen, very much like C-3PO.
That's even less like C-3PO.
Yes, he does not have a controller. But the weird thing is,
come on, that doesn't look like R2D2
It's going to make beeps
It's reminiscent of R2D2.
and all kinds of sounds.
But it's
like,
not round.
The weird thing is that
I want it to roll.
Well, you can get one of those, dude.
Really?
Instructables. You can go make
Oh, so
your
it's a
own.
DIY. But
Unfortunately, I don't know why Microsoft didn't build a round, like actual R2D2 with a
Probably costs
projector.
too much.
They could have connect right into it. Could you imagine the top of it instead of the projector?
Now, you said, though, the DIY one will actually project an image of the Xbox
the DIY one,
out?
instead of having the hologram thing for Princess Leia, you can actually watch the Xbox or play the Xbox with this projector. And that's on Instructables.
Yeah. I would like to all the droids.
All the droids?
Yeah.
There's definitely a market for R2D2, Xbox, and C-3PO remotes. I can say that with absolute certainty.
So there's a crossover there somewhere.
Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars people.
Star Wars and
Just
Xbox
kinda
people.
like that.
I think you're onto something.
Yeah, yeah.
They should add a cloud in there too.
I have a feeling.
Hey, shall we check the calendar?
Yeah. There's a TNT meetup and live show. That's tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific it's called The Proper Gastropub, and that's in San Diego because Tom and I are going to be there for Comic-Con. Proper Gastropub is right next to Petco Park, so you should come by. You should have a beer. You can listen to tech news. You can say hi. We could take some pictures. Everybody could have a good time.
8th Street and J, right by Petco Park, steps from the convention center. Like, maybe 500 or 600 steps, but
it's
actually nonetheless.
Steps that you can count.
You can walk from the convention center.
Walk off the beer.
Yeah, please come by and say hi if you've got some time. We'd love to have you, and it'll be fun to watch a remote show. And for BB, spotted a link to an early version of Android Player for the BlackBerry Playbook. Playbook, rather, not Playlook. That's a product that doesn't exist. In a changelog and posted online for all. The app is not intended for public release, though, so caveat downloader. The SwiftKey X keyboard app is free today on Amazon, so be swift or pay $3.99.
People like SwiftKey?
Yeah, it's one of the top keyboards, I would say.
So that's
it's my favorite.
Does it make you type really fast?
Swiftly, I like to say. Or they like me to say, actually.
They pay you.
They do not
Jason
pay
just
me
earned
to say
$5.
that.
Sony Ericsson Xperia Play gets a rather early price cut from Verizon. It's now $100 down from $200.
So just $100.
So it lost $100. Cut in half.
Cut in half.
Now you can buy two instead of just one.
Yeah.
50% of its former self.
Buy one, get one free.
A Fujitsu Windows 7 powered mobile phone will be available July 23rd. However, listen carefully. That's Windows 7, not Windows Phone 7.
Whoa, wait. So they're going to put the whole Windows 7 on there. That's crazy.
Windows 7 powered mobile phone.
Is that a Windows Phone 7? No,
Windows
it's a
Phone
Windows 7 phone.
Oh, this is just a semantics play.
No,
Merritt?
it's not.
It's actually-
No,
it's-
that's true.
It's a UMPC, but don't tell anybody.
So make sure that you understand before you jump on board. AT&T Nexus S is coming to Best Buy July 24th. It's going to be available for $100 with contract. That leaves Verizon as the only major player in the U.S. without the Nexus S. What's up, Verizon?
Come on, Verizon.
Verizon's got the Droid. They're all droidy. They're like, we got the Droid 3.
Droid does.
Droid does.
it does.
Yeah. To the voicemail. Ben.
Let's go.
Ben sent us a video voicemail. Thank you, Ben. Now, Ben sent us a video voicemail that he recorded while driving, which I don't recommend. But he seems to have survived, and he actually has a pretty good point about Netflix, so we're going to play it anyway.
All right.
Hey there, DNT show. Hey, just in response to the Netflix stuff, comments that were going on today, I read a blog entry on Netflix site yesterday that said that they were rolling out caption support for up to 30% of their streaming video catalog as of today, I'm assuming, and 80% of their streaming catalog by the end of 11. So that's pretty sweet. I also miss captioning sometimes when I'm just depending on the environment. It's nice to be able to just read sometimes instead of depending on on being able to hear it. The other thing is that I think you can officially add Android to your to your little advertising soundbite. As of yesterday, they added support for both my Incredible 2 as well as my wife's Samsung Fascinate. And it worked on my Droid X before that. So now it sounds like Netflix has finally gone all in on the Android support, which also makes me happy. So thanks, guys. Love the show. Bye.
I'm so
Hi.
glad he didn't crash. Or
He
get a
did look
ticket.
like he was looking at the road, not
He was,
his camera.
yes.
But he had to start the recording
Yeah.
somehow. Maybe he started it and then.
At least he wasn't holding, you know, he had
started
both
driving
hands on the
and-
wheel.
yeah,
Still
exactly.
distracting, though.
Right.
Anyway, good points, too. And yeah, at 24 Android
24 Android
phones now?
phones out there that can play Netflix.
I wouldn't necessarily say that's all in
Sure.
on Android support, but it's better than it was.
It's better than not 24.
That's true.
On to the email. TNT@twit.tv is the email address. Tell your friends or rewind and hear it again if you missed it.
Just hit pause. Look at the lower third.
Dan, a.k.a. Chimera, in the chat room.
Hi, Chimera.
What up?
He in there right now. Wrote in and said, with regard to Apple's upcoming release of Lion on a USB drive, it's easy to see this as a $40 penalty for not using the Mac App Store. But that would only be true for Snow Leopard users. For those running Leopard or Tiger, this is a better deal and arguably the most cost-effective way to upgrade. Leopard users would need to pay around $60 to upgrade to Snow Leopard via CD and then to Lion via the App Store, another $30. From that perspective, a $10 to $12 markup doesn't sound so bad. So if you're a Leopard user, wait for the USB drive. That may be the way to go.
Yeah, save yourself some time and a little bit of money. Next email from Anonymous. Subject line, Amazon streams now on Android. I stream movies from Amazon on my unrooted Droid X already. It's very easy. Just go to the full Amazon website and run the movie stream there and watch it on your phone. Piece of cake.
Right, because they have Flash on Android, so you can just access the regular old Amazon website where they embed the videos.
That's perfect.
Have you tried this, Mr. Android?
I haven't, but I mean, it makes sense if they're
wonder
streaming
how
with
Yeah.
Flash on the web.
I'm sure
it
there's
works.
still
Speaking of
a
Flash,
cool
that-
app forthcoming, but
that
this is a
email-
great way to utilize
That email was
the
from
service
Flash
now.
Gordon, MD.
Oh.
That's he didn't
That-
write it in the.
he
in the
knows all
email-
about
email, but
Flash.
Flash Gordon?
Yeah.
what it says.
Thank you, Flash Gordon.
Oh, and you know what?
appreciate
I just
Dr.
realized-
Gordon.
In relation to Chimera, by the way, 1 million OS 10 copies of OS 10 Lion downloaded from the App Store.
Really?
No
Yeah.
hitches either.
And no reports of like couldn't get it, wouldn't download. Like pretty smooth launch there.
Wow.
So
That's really impressive for a
stick
day.
that in your fanboy pipe and smoke it. Or
I will.
do something with it. Hey, subreddit. TechNewsToday.reddit.com. Thanks to Nearly Down, SciSpud, Matty Sco, Technogasms, White Hat TX, Flash Cider, and more for submitting stories that we considered and used in many cases on the show today. You can vote your favorite stories up or down. Go into the new tab and you can like play programmer. You can say that I'm going to vote that story up, going to vote that story down. You will have an effect on the stuff we talk about on the show. TechNewsToday.reddit.com. And don't forget bricks. We need them. We need to cover that interior wall that we're going to walk past every day, and you could have a message there that says, Tom, shut up, or I don't know, could say something
Tom,
nice.
talk
to
more.
Sarah, you look nice today, or Jason, Android, dude,
What's up?
or
Tom, how about you try working for once?
Iyaz, why are you so smart?
Yeah, that'll happen.
About raw stuff. Anyway, bricks.twit.tv is the place to go to buy a brick. And that's it for our last tech news today. From the cottage.
Just take it in.
Let's pour some
Take
data
it
out.
in
Not the last tech news
environment.
today ever. Just the last
Are
tech news today
we
from the cottage.
pretending to be sad about the move? Is that what we're all doing?
This is
Like,
the last
it's
time.
really
We're being nostalgic
It sucks
more
to
than-
be leaving this cramped area for our nice, beautiful new studio.
There will be a
with-
time in the future when you look back to this very moment
Remember
and you go,
those days.
even though it was cramped, it was special.
We
Yeah.
could always just reenact it in Leo's
You want me
studio.
to
Oh, okay.
play a harp glissando right there?
I'm kidding. I know. This was the
Nice work.
the first year and change of a very good show. Yeah. These were good days.
There.
These are days we will remember.
Even better days.
Play us
coming
out,
up.
Sarah
That was a
McLachlan.
maniac says. Let's play
You're
some
blessed and you're lucky.
play some Sarah McLachlan as we go
I
out.
will remember you.
Twit.tv/TNT is the website. That ain't going anywhere. You can still find that. 260-TNT show is the phone number. And TNT@twit.tv is the email address if you would like to send us an electronic mail message. Direct it that way. We will see you tomorrow from San Diego. Bye. I told myself I wouldn't do this, so